Hey everybody, this is Frill. Welcome back to Extended Timeline World War II. We're now up to October of 2014, and in the last episode we had a couple of decisive wars. We had one between the French and the Belgians here, and the French were able to take over all of what was left of Belgium in Europe, so they're down to just a couple provinces in Africa. We also had the Norwegians take over all of what was left of Sweden, so Sweden is done in the game unless they get liberated or they have some sort of rebel uprising. We also had a war between China and Tibet here, and they were able to take a very large chunk out of Tibet. You can see Tibet still considers these her core provinces. We also had a war between Cameroon and Angola. Cameroon was able to take over a pretty large chunk of Angola in the north. We also had the Portuguese, the rebels finally overthrew the monarchy there and installed a republic government type. Having a look at the militaries here, we've got the Chinese, followed by the US, the Germans, the Soviet Union, and the Japanese. So I think that's the same as the last episode. Looking at the current wars that are going on, very interesting wars. We have the Germans at war, Germans with the Turks, at war with the Polish, the Bulgarians, the Croatians, and the Serbians. We have the Second Cuban War, or Second Mexican-Cuban War. We've got the Americans still at war with the Netherlands, and we have the Second Iranian-Omani War. So that was going negative for the Iranians, but I think that the Italians just arrived in Oman, so probably will shift at that point. And I will note that the Germans ended up piecing out with Luxembourg and actually taking over Luxembourg finally in this series. So let's go ahead and get started and watch as we do that, the Germans end up piecing out with the Polish there, so taking over quite a large chunk of Poland. Looks like the Turks ended up getting a little bit of Bulgaria. Let's see, what else do we have? Looks like... Is there anything else here that we have? I don't think so. Nothing like in Croatia changed hands. Let's have a look here. So we've got the Iranians with some pretty large stacks moving into Oman here. Now, was the Iranians are the ones that declared that war? Yes, they are. Okay. So yeah, they're going to probably be able to occupy almost everything here. They've got, I don't know, they've got 100k. They've got the Italians here to help out. The Italians can just easily move across to Oman, or to Yemen and then into Oman, so it's going to go very well for them. Let's have a quick look over here. Looks like the Mexicans just had a battle with the Cubans here, and were able to win that, so I would expect the Mexicans are going to be able to take over most of Cuba if they can. It's the Mexicans are trying to escape from the Americans, as the Americans are probably going to be pushing into Mexico even more, but then they'll be an island nation and should protect them going forward. So we've got that American war still going on in the Philippines and Indonesia here. We've got a naval battle here between the Dutch and the Americans. Looks to be, considering the Netherlands is completely pushed back to just Indonesia, it's going okay for them. They've actually were able to move over, they're allied with the Vietnamese here, and they were able to move over into the Philippines, take over all the Philippines, while the Americans took over all of this particular island here of the Netherlands. So we're going to need to move some troops back into the Philippines here, siege that back, and probably do a little bit of island hopping to be able to be any more success there. War score is not going all that well for them, considering. Got that Mexican-Cuban nationalist war is going well for them. So the war score has changed and gone well for the Americans there now in the Netherlands there. See if the Italians try to take out the last of the Omanis here. I'm going to knock up the speed to 3. We've been going a little bit slower recently, just because we had the pretty good wars going on. there in Europe between like the French and the Belgians and the Spanish and here we go. So we just had the Iranians pieced out with the Omanis here. They didn't take as much as I thought they would have, and they just established an Iranian Oman here. So at least they'll have access there. They'll have a truce. They'll probably be able to, next time they have a war, they're not going to need Saudi Arabian military access or anything like that. Let's have a look at that Mexican-Cuban war. That's pretty much over, but we'll see what happens with the when they end up piecing out. Looks like Haiti does still have a couple islands around. Thought they were completely gone. And actually Venezuela, in a previous episode, a couple episodes ago, it looks like they did end up taking out, or capturing Jamaica for the Venezuelans there. They might have grabbed a couple other islands. Know that the French were in wars with the West Indies there. Okay, so actually the Mexicans took over all of Cuba there, unless there's some tiny island that I'm not seeing. This is all like Haiti here, there are no Cuban islands. So the Cubans completely done now too. So we've been having a lot of that where nations are disappearing left and right in this series. So yeah, things are heating up, I would say. So I'm going to knock up the speed up to 4, I think, at this point, just because we can watch this, the Netherlands, see if anything happens between them. Americans really need to... Okay, so they have moved into this island here. So yeah, they are going to be able to siege. They're up to 15 war score, and there they go. The Americans have changed this from American Brunei to American Indonesia. So I guess it's combined with the Philippines here. So yeah, now we've got only one war going on, and we've never even looked at this one, just because I have not looked at any of our little Indian wars that are going on. Yeah, just between like 2 one-province nations. So yeah, we're gonna, unless there's some more wars, we'll keep checking back and forth. Might be a good time to check out the government types, things like that. We've got Republic, French, we've got... Obviously, we knew a lot about this already. A little bit worried about the speed. We haven't been going that fast yet. Okay, we've got a American-British colonial war. We've got the Americans against the Germans. Or, sorry, the Americans with the Germans against the British here. So very big war going on here. Very big. So the British are obviously been allied with the... Not obviously, but they have been allied with the Soviets for the better part of the entire series, other than the very beginning. So that's where that stands. Got... The Mexicans are about to be invaded again. Just like I was saying, they were escaping over to Cuba. Seemed wise to me as well. So we will see. I mean, a lot of these colonial wars have not been going all that well. Like, you'd think maybe they'll be interesting, but big battle there between the German army and the Soviets. We'll see if anybody ends up joining this war. I would think that somebody would. I mean, it's probably wise for like the Turks, somebody like that, to join this war, and they might be able to capture some, you know, like, maybe just look at this, like Kuwait, or I guess it'd be kind of Israel right here, and Jordan. But it does not look like they're going to end up joining that. I'm still surprised that the Welsh, okay, they did ally with Spain, so at least they're allied with Spain, so the British won't be able to easily take them out. So this will be kind of tough to see where, because these are completely colonial wars. Obviously that's Liberia, so we don't... That's a little bit of rebels here. In Brazil, actually a lot of rebels in Brazil. Having a rebel problem, it looks like. Yeah, so actually, I'll probably just watch what's going on here with the Americans in Mexico. We've got another Dominican-Haitian imperialist war. See, I thought that the Haitians were completely done in this series, but apparently they're back, or at least they've got a couple islands, and the Dominicans are going to try to take them out. There we go. The Americans just finished off the Mexicans. I don't think they took anything, did they? Okay, yeah, they did here in the peninsula there. Okay. Nothing more? Okay. Well, that was the best part of watching that. They must have captured some more. Look at our war score here. Just a bunch of blockades, it looks like. So yeah, it looks like the Germans are occupying a bunch of the Soviet Union, so that's where that war score is coming from. Lithuania, Latvia. That area of the map. Do we have a... Okay, Lithuania, I did not realize that they were actually here. Is it just like a one province deal there? Nobody on anybody's side, okay. I can't imagine that the Americans are going to move their troops actually into Africa, but we'll see. Maybe they will. They're getting a little bit better recently with actually moving their troops. Like at the very beginning of this series, they would declare war on like Japan or whoever it was, and they would never move their troops across the ocean. At least they do now. They just happen to not put a military leader on them. So yeah, it says it's occupied by the USA, but it's occupied by being occupied by the Germans here. So we now have the Mexicans. This must be the Haitians must have just reappeared or something like that, because now they've got Mexicans are at war with them as well as the Dominicans. I think the Dominicans are going to take them out before the Mexicans have a chance to, though. Look at all these units moving around for the Germans and the Soviets. Soviets' army is probably pretty shattered and regrouping as they can. Wonder if this does end up piecing out, if the Germans might take a little bit of land here. We will see. Let's quickly look at what's going on here in the Dominicans. So we've got the Dominicans sieging out all of what are these Haitian islands. We've got the Americans have sieged out Belize here. So the Americans are getting total military access through Mexico. Good for them. Brazilians still dealing with these rebels here. So we've got the 2017 version of Barbarossa going on at this point between the Germans and the Soviets. Things are they're going decently. I'm talking speed. We've got Thailand fighting the Germans here in, I guess, what would be Ukraine. I think anyway. Kharkov, yeah. Probably the hot spot of the world right there. Okay, we've got the Congo is occupying some of Germany here because of the... I don't know why it would be saying that. This is... I think it's some funny occupation sometimes. We've got the different colonies in this war that are sieging out. So who else do we have? Yeah, this is actually... It's very interesting who the British get on their side in this war. Some of them I wouldn't expect. Like, we've got some rebels here, Italian revolutionaries. I would think the Italians should easily be able to take care of them, though. Keep an eye on if there's, like, any Americans decide to show up. I highly doubt it. Getting a little chugging going on. A lot of militaries around. What's our war score doing for these? So the blockade, the British are doing a lot of blockades on the Germans, where the Americans are blockading a lot of the British. More so, yeah, here we go. I think that the Germans are actually blockading a little bit here as well in Norfolk. Germans are losing a little bit of steam in their offensive here against the Soviets, but I think they've basically, like I already said, shattered the Soviet army, so that's like the main thing that's going on there. But let's quickly look at our... Germans are completely out of manpower, so that's pretty decisive, very important. Look at all the rebels. The rebels are actually moved in the top 5 here. We've got a lot of rebels going on. We've got Turks have some rebels here. Turkish particularists. We've got, obviously we knew the Brazilians have some rebel issues. Just gonna knock our speed back down a little bit. I know that I'm gonna cover some pretty good ground, but with all the rebels and this big wars that are going on, starting to get a little bit of chugging going on. So here we've got... Okay, the British... Oh, then that's the Americans are occupying parts of the British land here. That's probably the main thing that this war is about, is taking over some areas in the Philippines. Or not the Philippines, but the Indonesia here. Yeah, the Americans are probably able to do a lot of blockading on this area here. The British Indochina, as it's called. At least for us, that's what it's called. Every time I see this, it looks like the Vietnamese are having rebel problems, but that's just quite a few rivers there. Quickly look at our favorite screen. We've got another Chinese-Japanese nationalist war going on. This is probably... I wonder what the... I won't be able to tell here on the screen anymore, but obviously the Chinese want something, and they're going to get it, I would assume. Their army is huge. Heading back over to Europe, so the Soviets are coming on strong, it looks like, now that the Germans are completely out of manpower. German army wins, though, because they had that 3-star general. So yeah, we're getting a few wars firing off. I do think this is like the first colonial war that we've had, where it's called colonial war. They've always been war for independence in the colonies, in their Commonwealth areas there. I think that the Iranians would want to take over what was that one province that was left in Iraq there. So yeah, we've got... I was seeing that blue hash mark there. I thought it was the Americans that had actually showed up and occupied something, but that's not what had happened. Any other areas? British Guyana. The Belize. Thought it was, yeah, it's occupied still. Are we just not, okay, we're not seeing it because it's wrong map type. Okay. Canadians still allied? Yeah, they're still allied with the Americans, but they're not in this war, obviously. So yeah, I would say that where this war is going to actually be decided is on the Russian front. Not as many blockades going on as there was. The Chinese are totally blockading... Actually, let's see here. Yeah, totally blockading the Japanese. I don't know why this 1K stack is still around for the British there. Yeah, a lot of yeah, I would say that Turkey is probably a good idea that they did not join this war. I guess they wouldn't have joined it anyway, though, because they were only allied with the Germans, and obviously the people that are going to join this war are going to be on the American side. Alright, it does look like we're out of time for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and please consider hitting the like button if you did, as it really helps out the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.